Thank you very much for these nice words. It's true. I quite long time in business. This will be on the 5th of September this year, exactly 40 years when I started my professional career at those days Warta Insurance, in the reinsurance company. Probably you know that in the past system we had limited number of the insurers in Romania as well. I remember Astra for so many years as a state company. We had PZU and Warta. Warta was responsible for the international business, and it was exactly the place I started my insurance education and professional career. I would like to comment the presentation of Madeleine. You underlined this at the end. In any case, the final payer is the person who is buying the policy. And unfortunately, not all the people that are involved in this matter, not only in a domestic level, but also international level, they are able to understand that we need to protect somebody, and all the regulations, they are in force at this moment on a European level, and it should be on a domestic level, is to protect. And the main aim of any regulation should be to protect. But the question is, who should be protected? On some markets, we see that the decision makers, they want to protect themselves. They want to be very, how to say, good for the public. They want to say, look, we are fighting for your rights. We are offering you something, but in fact, they are not responsible if something is going wrong. If they avoid to take any decision on time, this is a real disaster. And especially if any politicians are involved in this matter. I think there is very important precondition for any insurance market, for any bodies they are responsible to secure the stability of the market, is to be not political body, to be independent and to be professional, and to be able to take the decision on time. And there must be exactly the same measures to every company, doesn't matter who is owner. And we see on different markets specific differences how the companies are treated, because they have a fear, because they want to be, how to say, or from time to time, they are like the dogs on the line of the owner. I mean, this is something what creates the problems. And as we know, as I have said, we are giving the double cover. We need to give a double security. And this is not only about, we should speak about the victims. This is only one part of all the story. All the discussion is how to secure the rights of the victims. But as I have said at the beginning, we should remember about the others. They are financing this old business. Not the owners of the companies, they are financing the business. Not the shareholders. Of course, I had once on the high political level in Europe, if there are the problems, if the companies, the shareholders should give more money, and there will be sources to pay the compensation to the victims. That somebody who said it, responsible person, theoretically, is far away from the reality. This is the populism, pure populism. Only sources they are to pay the compensation, they are the sources coming from the insured person. And I'm very proud to say that our supervisor authorities in Poland, they said in a parliament when the market was criticized, increasing the tariffs of during 1.5 years of 80% to secure the stability. They said publicly in the parliament, we are not only to secure the victims, the right of the victims, but we are also to secure the stability of the market, because there's the precondition to secure the victims. And there is the level of the premium that people are able to pay. So from both angles, there must be input to protect the clients and the victims of MTPL business. Some of the changes, they are at this moment in progress on the European level, are exactly to find a balance solution to protect both parties of this MTPL risk. We have at this moment on a European level 2 systems. You see on the screen, but the most important is to remember that the best system, it exists almost 70 years now. This is the green card system. I'm not saying this because I'm coming from the green card system, but this is the reality. This is only insurance organization. It's operating for so long time. Secondly, this is the biggest in the world. At this moment, this operates on 48 different European and not only European markets. And this is technically, I don't want to say perfect, but very, very efficient. And as long nobody is speaking about the activity of the green card system outside of the insurance industry, it means it works perfectly, because there are no scandals and all the rights of the victims are always secured. And please remember, we transfer during 1 year more than 2 billion euro within a green card system. This is a lot of money and nobody knows about it. And our responsibility is to secure this business, the rights of the victims and rights of the customers. We have at this moment, we could say, one Europe, but 2 different systems. But in fact, we have 48 different systems. Because having these international platforms, we have 48 different markets. They are different markets with different mentalities, with different clients, with history, civil law, and claims handling procedures. And harmonize all of this is not easy, but is manageable. Of course, when we want to do it. Coming back to slowly to the main topic, we should take into consideration some proposals, some directives. They were passed by the European Parliament and the Commission in the past. And maybe you are surprised that the first one on the screen, they are not the motor insurance directives. But these 2 directives, especially it is from '92, has till now very big impact on the stability of the insurance business, especially when we are talking about the motor business. Why? Because this directive introduced something what creates now, especially now, not only now, but for the last some years, this freedom of service and freedom of establishment rule we have in Europe. I will talk about it later. But then you see that from '72 we started to harmonize our MTP law in the European Union. Those days there was a different name and there were less countries in this community, European community. But you see that the harmonization of the level, on the level of the European community, was much, much later than the green card system was established. And in fact, preparing the first motor insurance directive, the responsible bodies, they took into consideration some positive experience from the system. They exist on a voluntary basis, because we must remember that green card system is a voluntary system. It's not any obligation to be a part of the system. But if somebody is in the club, must follow exactly the same rules. has the same rights but also the same obligations. And the new proposal is in progress now in 2019. It doesn't mean that the discussion was started exactly in this year, but the situation at this moment is, as you see on the screen. The proposal was formulated last year. Recently, in February, was adopted by the European Parliament, but it was referred back to the responsible committees because the outcome of the discussion in the Parliament was a bit different than the proposal of the European Commission. But anyway, doesn't matter who is responsible. The provisions they are mentioned in the new directive, they will have a very important impact on the insurance industry in Europe. In explanation to the proposal is written, please, it's dangerous. This proposal will not have any financial impact on the insurance industry in Europe. And there is written by the European Commission and the European Parliament, and is totally opposite. This will have an impact, and very severe impact. So you see that not only on the national levels in different countries, but also European level, we have the decision makers and the politicians. They are far away from the reality. And to promote some ideas they have, they will even lie, because it's a real lie for me. This is a lie to the parliament members and also to the public, because finally it's necessary to say that for all the changes, the clients of the insurance companies, they will pay, because there are no changes in the legislation without any financial consequences. We see it. You have some changes in Romania, but we have already in Poland as well, and always there are financial consequences, and we should remember about it. But also it's necessary to remember that there are many bodies that will be involved, and everybody must prepare itself to transpose these new provisions into the daily practice. What will be not easy, because some proposals are technically complicated. But of course, the aims of the changes are very positive, because we want to secure the rights of the victims, of the customers. We want to give the chance to the police and other authorities to check if somebody was insured or not. This is very important. I agree, we should do something. We should fight against fraud. We should minimize the number of the people not insured. The question is how to do it. In fact, when we are looking into this proposal of the directive, I don't see any possibility to decrease the number of the uninsured drivers. I don't see. Because theoretically speaking, maybe this proposal should lead to this effect. But in the reality, we need to invest a lot of money, and we should invest the money and especially work on a domestic level. As long we will tolerate, for example, such contracts, they are limited to 1 month, 2 months, we will never reach the goal. Never. Because it's difficult to control such situation and to control in a way that is mentioned in the directive if somebody is insured or not, especially in a free Europe when we can move without any limits. How to control? How the policeman in Great Britain or in France could control when somebody has a 1 month contract? And we know that there is a mass of the customers. They are moving from one country to the other one. Not necessarily to Portugal, but from Romania to Bulgaria to Hungary to Poland. It's closer. And only way to control is to have a good database and certain contracts. They are manageable and the center measures, they could be manageable to reach the goal. So to make the life more comfortable for the clients, for example, because they will not pay the whole premium for whole year, this is, in fact, a populistic behavior of some politicians, saying, look, I'm good for you. You will pay or not. We will see. It's difficult to check. In fact, we are saying this to the clients, and this should be opposite. What are the proposals? Of course, I think nobody will discuss with the new guarantee sums. They will be higher than at this moment. There will be over 6 million euro per bodily injury and more than 1,220,000 euro per property damages. The question in this matter is if this is a proper balance. Since many years I'm repeating and repeating, this is irrational because, practically speaking, based on a praxis, the property damages could be higher and we need higher security. In the case of heavy accidents, the question is, in fact, who will pay for the consequences of the accident? Recently, there was the big accident caused by the, unfortunately, Polish truck, and there was damage of the train in Czech Republic. It was a famous Pendolina with high speed. There was a big crash with big consequences, and with the limit 1 million euro, they are even not able to repair half of a train. And what with the railway? Who will pay for it? This is the reality we have in Europe. And the politician, we are not able to convince the politician in the European Commission to think about it, because they are thinking about the victims. When we present higher level of the potential compensation regarding the bodily injury, everybody will be satisfied. But how to satisfy in the reality of the victims? Because in fact, they will be treated as uninsured. Because what is 1 million? The rest they must pay from own account. We must be realistic. Secondly, there is the question for the last many years, and I had even open quarrels with some markets, with the police authorities. You know, and probably in your country is exactly the same. There were many Romanians, many Polish citizens, they moved to other countries. And especially in some countries, they were not random checks if they are insured or not. There were special focused checks of the foreign drivers if they are insured or not. If this is good or not, this is another story. When we compare the level of the premium in Romania, for example, because we are here, so I will use this example, to the premium, average premium in Great Britain, we can understand why the people are insured in Romania and why not in Great Britain. But what could happen when they are not more insured because they want to save even this money? How to check it? So generally speaking, to introduce better way to control if somebody is insured or not is something positive. But the proposal based on some not realistic preconditions, because the police in Europe is not prepared to check on this way there is mentioned in the directive. They wrote that there will be the possibility to use the tools of EUCARIS. EUCARIS, this is the association of the state cars registration bodies in particular EU countries. But there is no central database. There is no central database of the issued policies in every country. How to check it? So theoretically, the idea is beautiful, but when we put it now into the directive, how to execute this? This will be the written solution for something what we can't solve, in fact. Of course, the two last, they are maybe not the most important, but you have this, you solve the problem with the claims history available for the customers, what is extremely positive. We have similar solution in Poland as well, but it doesn't work in every country, unfortunately. And some countries are still not prepared with the central database. So it will take some years before this could be enforced. And the last one from the screen, this is the liability of trailers. This is a nightmare for many, many years because, as you know, we have different rules in different countries. And for example, the system that exists in Poland and Germany is totally different to the system that exists in Netherlands, when the trailers are not, they must be not insured separately, and they are even not registered separately, as is exactly in Poland and in Germany, as giving only this example. So the question is, who is responsible in the case of the accident if something happened finally? And there were quarrels for many years, and especially when we are talking about the transport claims. So this proposal is exactly what I'm supporting in 100%. Prescription period. This is something what is another nightmare on the European level. Alejandro could confirm in Spain there is 1 year prescription period. Of course, this is not exactly 1 year, but the main is 1 year. But the other countries within European Union, they are 20 years, whereas 20 years prescription period, for example, in Poland. So the question is, how to secure the rights of the victims if they are not aware how much time they have to register, to claim the insurer in the other country. And as Haik presented, we have more than 450,000 claims a year, transborder claims only within green card system, because additionally we have also this protection of visitors system based on the Ford Motor Insurance Directive. This will be probably another 80,000 claims based on our experience as a compensation bodies and the reports we are receiving for the claims representatives. So, in fact, the question is how we should secure the rights of the victims. So the proposal to harmonize the minimum level of 4 years is not a bad solution. The question is, it is manageable for all the member states to introduce in a short period, at the same period. But I think this is more the discussion for the professors of the civil law than for the politicians. But unfortunately, the politicians are the decision makers, not the academic lawyers. Another story, this is the use of in traffic. You know probably the decisions of European Court of Justice in this matter. I think this is the time to harmonize what does mean, because in every country we have different description what means use of in traffic, but even this formula is mentioned in the proposal of the directive is not good formulated. We, as a Polish market, together of supporting our government, we criticized this formula because, in fact, it's giving too much freedom for particular countries to describe it by implementation, the implementation to the national law. Bankruptcy, I will speak later on, and price comparison tool, what is something was irrational. This idea based on the tool, it was prepared the banking system. Unfortunately, the members of the European Parliament and European Commission are not able to understand that the insurers, they formulate the tariffs on totally different, based on a totally different factors. The insurance product is not a banking product. It's difficult to say that in banking products, let's say you have, for example, you are giving the money to the bank and they promise to you 5% interest. Yes, it's quite easy. We are offering the product is only a promise. It's only a promise. There is nothing we can receive back, especially when we are paying for MTPL. So how to create such central price comparison tool, plus the sanctions in something will be wrong in this tool. But the insurers, they have right, at least, for example, in my country, to change the tariff every day. If necessary, of course, nobody is doing this. But they are doing this frequently because it's necessary to adapt the level of the premium to the loss ratio. So we must have more or less harmonized law in all the countries, and they should be equal for all types of vehicles. Doesn't matter if this is trailer, lorry, or personal car, they should be exactly the same rule regarding the buying the insurance and the construction of tariff. It doesn't mean that the price will be the same, of course, and other factors. Terrorist attacks. This is something what is extremely important in Europe, and especially in our days. The risk, it was treated for many, many years as a theoretical risk. It's happened. It's realized several years ago, and not only once. Probably you remember this terrorist attack in Nice. Maybe you remember this very heavy in Berlin. Unfortunately, in Berlin, the Polish truck with trailer was involved. That's the Polish driver was killed, and the terrorist used this vehicle to commit this attack. And suddenly we discovered that not in every country there is any cover. For example, in Germany, there is not a cover in the MTPL law. The question was how to satisfy the victim. In Poland, there's vice versa. All the activity of the owner and the driver of the car are under insurance cover, all. Even you want to kill your mother-in-law. Even you want to do it, there is covered. So, please don't do it. Don't do it. So, there is the question how to synchronize the legislation, because such attack could happen everywhere. There was also the attempt in Vienna. There was also the attack in Stockholm. So we see that the risk at this moment is relatively high. And the weapon is accessible, because almost everybody has a car. It's very easy to steal a car or to kill the driver, as in the case of this attack in Berlin. So this solution is very welcome by many, many countries, because at this moment we have a gap. Another story, this is the MTPL cover for different type of the vehicles. We are speaking of the electric board, electric bicycle. There are many of them at this moment. And finally, there is no decision. There is written this up to the member states. What will have very stupid consequences, because, for example, there was recently the decision in Germany, they will be covered, yes. But what with the transport claims? Should the Polish users of the electric bikes be insured coming to the Germany? No, this is not mentioned in the law, only the Germans. But if the accident happened, will be covered by MTPL law or not? At this moment, there is no answer from the responsible bodies in Germany. But this was accepted. Yeah? In Poland, we have the discussion as well, but at this moment, the opinion is this shouldn't be a part of the motor third-party liability law. In fact, when we think about the risk, what is the difference between the accident caused by the user of the normal bike and the user of the electric bike? I don't see any difference, because the victim is the victim, yeah? In fact. And what with the children, they are using the electric boards, skateboards, for example. We are too old to know it, but they are using these tools. Should be insured as well, but if we will go in the line of some proposals, some ideas, it should be insured. So maybe the vacuum cleaner, it's now, we know that we have this free, they are moving in the houses, or that's the grass clutter in the gardens, they should be insured as well, because they move. What would be if such machine will go out of the garden, for example? This could happen. We see the potential problems they relate to this question. So about the sums I said already, and about Eucharis and the system of the registration and so on, this is very important to limit the number of the uninsured drivers, what is very important. Some countries, they are very successful. We are very proud in Poland, there's less than 1% of the uninsured drivers. But still is a lot, because we have 23 million of the vehicles, registered vehicles. So even less than 1%, this is quite a lot of cars. And there is very interesting part regarding the compensation to the victims in the case of the bankruptcy of the companies, but it relates only to freedom of service and freedom of establishment. Is very important in our days because we know that there are some companies, they want to be and they are very aggressive on freedom of service in other countries. And we had recently some bankruptcies. Two Danish companies recently went bankrupt, and the business was on the same model, to sell as much cheap and to disappear. It was especially the first one, Alpha, was in Great Britain. There was a big scandal, but a few months later there was the next one, Danish company, Kudos. And now we have in Europe another Danish company using exactly the same model. I will not name it because, you know, I don't want to promote good prices they are offering. But the problem is they are not offering the service for the victims. At least in my country, there is a nightmare, because they even not have the possibility to fund them, not only to receive the money. So, and the question is what to do with this problem. Unfortunately, that's the responsible bodies, as for example, IOPA. This is the body, it should harmonize the activity of the supervisory bodies in all the member states, is aware about the problem, but they don't see any possibility to solve it, because the principle of the free market and freedom of service much more important than the rights of the customers and victims. So of course I'm cynic at this moment. Maybe I'm not right, but this is exactly the outcome of the last conversation with the chair of this body. I hope that now, having the new tools, as IOPA, maybe they will be more active. So, thank you for your kind attention.